This race is for Trustee, Clark County School District E. Each of you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself to the panel. We will start with Mr. Melendrez.
You'll get a beep at 50 seconds, and when I put up this, I'm not trying to ask you a question. My fingers will disappear with the last few seconds.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jose Melendrez. I am a father of 2 kids. I am running because for the last 15 years I've been involved with education. I currently work at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas in the Office of Diversity Initiatives, and I serve, I was part of the advisory council for the Prime 6 schools committee that was working with the superintendent and still serving some advisory capacity. I've also spent years, my early years in professionally working with the Boy Scouts of America, where I did a lot of work with the school district, coordinating scout units with the at-risk programs, working with the gang unit to bring kids into scouting through the school district. I am currently involved in multiple initiatives on behalf of the Latin Chamber and other organizations where we work with the school district around different issues, different concerns in the effort to try and improve the quality of education in Nevada. And so I guess the main goal for my purpose for running is that I'm tired of being on the sidelines and I want to make a difference. Thank you.
Mr. Clinton.
Thank you for letting me come today. I'm Jim Clinton. I am currently CFO for a company locally, and I've got a lot of financial background that I think that can bring great value to this economic troubled school district that I've been a part of for the last 10 years. I've got 3 boys that are currently in the public system. I've worked with charter schools across the valley and across the states, seen a lot of great things happen, and I've seen a lot of great practices that I'd love to be able to apply to help put the school district back on track fiscally and operationally. I'm very happy to be a part of this, looking to focus on helping all the teachers make a difference to grow the leaders in the school district.
Hi, I'm Zakeisha Jones. Thank you for having me today. I grew up here in Las Vegas. I've been here for about 29 years. I graduated from Chaparral High School as well as UNLV with a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in secondary English education. I spent a lot of years in the Clark County School District as a teacher leader, department chair. My last position with the school district was I was a project facilitator for the Alternative Routes to Licensure program, where we focused on teachers in a fast-track program to get them to teach them how to be great teachers in the Clark County School District. I am married and I'm a mom of 2.
We'll begin questions with Leon.
All right, I'll ask the same question I asked the other 2 panels. Within the Clark County School District, there's a lot of disparities between the schools, even within the same neighborhoods, let alone across town, where some schools are fantastic, others are horrible. You know, even with the same demographics, missing programs versus other. You know, some schools have 2, 3, 4 times the number of programs that other schools in the same area have. Are you aware of that, and how would you address that as a trustee? Or I mean, yeah. Sure.
I am aware there are some differences between schools. One thing that we have to keep in mind is, I know you addressed even in the same area, but every school community is different. And I think tapping into the administration and the relationship between administration and teachers, and also parental support, is really key to creating some lifelong learners in education, and also creating some major change. One thing that we like to do in the school district is try new programs and see what works in other districts and apply those kinds of things to our district. So I'm definitely a supporter of that. But I think it's all about communication and getting the community actively involved and really addressing the specific needs of that school, because every school, every child, every teacher, every school community is different.
There is a great deal of disparity across the valley. You have to look at schools individually, and you have to look at the leadership of each school and the direction that they give the supporting staff. I think within any district you'll find great performing schools that have great practices, and there are schools that can learn from that and collaborate with those schools. You can share different ideas, do meetings weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever the practice becomes. You get to collaborate and share ideas so you can all become better. I think the collaboration doesn't just stay within the school district. You also partner with private entities across the valley to help increase learning abilities and be able to share great practices.
There's three things that I see. The last couple of years I've been directly involved with looking at the inequity in some of the schools and the things that take place. And so with that situation, what I would look at is if the accountability is the same, if you're holding the leadership accountable, if the resources are the same, that each school has the opportunity to utilize the same resources and equity in those resources, then the third part that you have to look at is the leadership. What we learned was where you have strong principals who are motivating their teachers and motivating their parents to get involved, despite that there isn't a strong parental engagement program right now in the school district. If those things are the same and you have motivational leadership who is really thriving and putting the best effort forward to get their teachers excited about being there, to get their administrators moving forward, then you bring equity into those areas to bring the same resources, to bring everyone to the same level, to be able to provide the same level and quality of education. So from my perspective of what I've learned and what I've seen firsthand is it is that principal, it is that assistant principal, the way that they motivate and bring their teachers forward with their best efforts.
Next question.
Quick follow-up. If consistently you have that where some principals are great, others are not, why aren't we terminating the ones that aren't and maybe finding someone that is?
Well,
30 seconds.
I want to say that I think that's part of the process of what they're doing right now is looking at this grading system that they came out with. If you're a 5, what's going on that's right? What are they doing that's right there? And if you got a 4, a 3, or a 2, then somebody needs to be held accountable as to why are you not functioning or why are you not doing, given if all the resources and all the other things are equal, then why isn't? And if it comes down to that individual, then yes, those individuals need to be held accountable.
I was very fortunate to talk to several principals around the District D, and their communication to me was that same issue where they wanted to hold the teachers accountable, but they didn't want to stick their neck out to justify that 4 ranking or the 1 ranking or whatever it is outside of the 3. So they'll just give a standard 3 on the evaluation so they don't have to justify and go above and beyond the expectations. So accountability is a huge piece that they need to be able to do.
Well, I think we need to look at this fiscally. It costs a lot more to get teachers out and bring teachers in than it does to invest in properly supporting teachers and reteaching and giving them the support that they need. I mean, when we bring teachers in and push them out, have we truly addressed and have we truly reinforced their teaching? So I think it goes back to support for teachers, and with that, if we see that they're still not being able to be effective, then we can look at some other things.
Next question.
I got one more follow-up, I'm sorry. But whose kids are they going to damage while you're trying to help them learn to be better, is my question. Hopefully not mine.
Got 15 seconds.
I agree with you. I'm not saying that I think that they should be damaging students, not at all. I mean, my children are a part of the Clark County School District as well. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the funding that we have available, I think that reteaching and restructuring definitely is something to be looked at as well.
They're going to be harming my children, your children, every child across this valley, and the future leaders of this valley and this city. And we need to make sure we're setting a standard and we're holding every teacher accountable.
Yeah. Again, if the resources and everything is equitable across the board and it comes down to the individual, then accountability. You have to hold those individuals accountable, and if you have to make those tough decisions to move people out, you have to do that.
Next question.
Okay, we've asked questions about teacher merit pay, and I do believe that lots of times the accountability thing with the teachers is lacking in certain areas, but if we just keep constantly badgering, oh, the Clark County School District is terrible, it's got all these problems, we don't know what we're doing. What are we doing to address morale? Because after a while, if you tell people enough that they're doing a horrible job, they're just going to throw their hands up in the air. So what are you going to do specifically when elected to help increase morale, but at the same time making sure that accountability is a part of that?
Well, Jim, you're echoing everything that I just discussed. I really believe that well-supported teachers really is the key, because I equate it to being in a family structure, a well-supported mom, a well-supported father. With those that feel like they have support, definitely, it reflects on the whole family. And me being a classroom teacher, I've been there, I know it is like that. So definitely I feel that you are absolutely correct. If we keep on beating the Clark County School District down and beating teachers down, then there is going to be a lack of morale. So I would definitely create some forums with administrators, with teachers, so that we can create a discussion so that we can address that same issue.
Going in and being able to talking to teachers this last month was a privilege, and they were able to describe to me that they want to be held accountable. At the same time, they want to be supported and given every resource possible. So I think looking at it fiscally and looking at making sure that every teacher has every single available resource and the support, being from giving them additional training, additional education on how to tackle issues and problems and celebrate those successes, is going to be a very big part of how we are able to support these teachers. At the same time, it starts with leadership. Leadership inside each school district, each school is going to be very, very important, making sure that each principal maintains that morale and maintains that excitement within the school.
To your point, I think there are a lot of great programs taking place in the school district. We have other school districts who come from around the country to see what's happening here in Las Vegas or in Southern Nevada, and so I think we get a bad rap, education as a whole, and so it's identifying where we do have those strengths, those positive points of what is working, what is taking place, is celebrating those teachers. We have teachers who are winning Teachers of the Year awards, principals who are getting high-level administrative awards for the work they're doing. So it's identifying those programs, identifying those individuals that are being successful, and putting a spotlight on them, marketing a public message that is positive about those things that are working, that are being successful, that are impacting our kids. And it's changing that message, changing that culture. We know there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, but there's a lot of good things that we can build on and make those stronger and have them spread out around the school district, as well as sharing with the community that these are good things, these are positive interactions, these are people who are doing their job right, and bringing that to the public.
To what extent, if any, could or should school choice within the district be implemented to perhaps give parents, children near a school, first crack at that school, and after that allow parental choice to enroll them in whichever school?
I think if there's a fair playing field, level playing field there, that for those kids who live within those neighborhoods, within 2-3 miles, if they have the opportunity to have access to those schools, and then whether you have to break it down by a percentage or something then from the rest of the school district that they would have the opportunity to attend. But there has to be a fair level a place of fairness and equity, so that those kids who are, because of where they live, the means that they have, that they would have the same opportunity somebody who's able to come from a whole different other part of town. So the equity and the fairness and the process of how that would work for these kids all to have the equal opportunity to go. But again, if they live within the neighborhood, I think you would have to give some priority to those kids who live in those neighborhoods if that's where they want to go. So giving that choice to the parents.
So if that's accommodated, that's a yes, it should be done.
Yes.
Can you rephrase your question for me again?
Assuming we have some way that kids aren't forced away from the neighborhood schools. If you live within 2 miles of the school, you may go there regardless of the program. Should we and could we implement a program allowing parents to choose which school in the district their child goes to?
Every child should be able and encouraged to go to the closest school of their choice. we need to make sure we hold those kids accountable for grades if they choose to go outside of that area. Magnet schools, fantastic programs. We should be able to encourage every student across this valley to choose which school they want to go to.
I'm not quite sure if I understand your question specifically. So are you talking about magnet schools? Because my daughter definitely has...
Open enrollment.
No, an open enrollment, but in which we give first priority for a school to the folks within its area. So you're not going to be forced out of your local school by open enrollment, but aside from that, open it up and let the chips fall.
And so, and what would the purpose be of that? What are...
Well, if your kid's in a school with abysmal performance,
Okay.
that you're willing, that you are entitled to be able to choose to take another
that's the
school,
language I
and
was
the
looking
district
for.
can't
Okay.
force you to stay in your local school.
Well, I mean, I think that it's on an individual basis. Like I was saying, you know, as far as magnet schools, those choices are out there. And so I have, as a parent, activated that choice for my daughter to attend a magnet school. There are charter schools out there as well that I know that parents are choosing.
Maybe if I clarified slightly more. And
Sure.
again, I have my kids in Catholic schools for Catholic reasons, not for private school reasons. So my local school would have been Chaparral for high school. I know Centennial's another school in the district. Suppose I thought that Chaparral was inadequate. I want my kids to be able to go to Centennial. Should I be able to put my kids in Centennial instead of Chaparral if it has an open seat?
Sure, in a perfect world, I guess you should be able to do that, for sure. We would have to look and see the semantics of that, how we could implement something like that. But definitely, I mean, I wouldn't want my child to be attending a school that has dismal performance. I agree with you. But I would rather figure out a way that we can collectively fix some of those schools, because I don't think that it's fair for the students who are currently at Chaparral School either, that are there now, Chaparral High School, which actually is my alma mater. It was much different back in the 90s. But what I would like to say is in a perfect world, yes, I think we should all have choice, but we would have to figure out a way to make all of that work in this huge school district that we're currently in.
Next question.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming tonight. It's almost night now. I've heard a lot of talk about breaking up Clark County into separate school districts, so I'd like each of your thoughts on that and how it would affect the economy in Nevada. And we'll start with Ms. Jones.
There has been a lot of talk about that. How it would affect the economy in Las Vegas. I mean, all of these ideas are great. We've been talking about breaking up the school district just because it's the sixth largest school district or fifth largest school district in the nation. So I think that we have done that in a way by separating it into the smaller districts and within the areas. As far as how it would affect the economy, I would definitely want to get some of the private businesses involved that would be affected by those areas to be involved to help fund some of that.
At the moment, I think that the school district being fifth largest in the country is okay. There are some efficiencies that can definitely be increased. Just because it's too big doesn't mean that it can't be successful. There are other school districts that are larger that are even more successful than we are. So why can't we either mirror them or change some of our habits so that we can make sure that these children are going to be successful into the future?
I guess there's pros and cons to that. Obviously, if you break them up, then there's going to be a lot more administrative costs. There's going to be a lot more distribution of resources that might be coming to Southern Nevada based on the student population. So I think being that it is the fifth largest school district, it's in terms of how it's operating fiscally, how we manage those resources, understanding that process so that we can get better at running the operations and moving this school district forward in a positive way so that we can provide the best education possible for these kids.
Thank you.
Melody?
I have no questions.
Travis?
Hi, how are y'all? Would you support reinstituting technical training programs in all the high schools? If not, why not? Let's go with you, Mr. Melendrez, first.
Yes, I mean, not every not every child is going to go on to a traditional four-year college education. So yes, if those opportunities are there, if the resources are there, I would say yes, provide the kids with every opportunity that's going to either put them in a certificate program, put them in a career program, but it's going to give them a foundation of some sort to be successful once they move on from whatever that high school. So I would say yes.
I think there's magnet schools that can attract individuals that want to inspire to become some type of OTech individual. I look at a charter school out in Henderson that has a 2-year program, juniors and seniors only, and they're able to graduate to those students with a 2-year college degree. I think that's something that we can look at within our public school system that can affect VOTech individually.
I would be in support of implementing vocational studies back into schools, as well as workshop shop classes and things like that. I agree that all students are not on a 4-year college track, but to give each and every student what they need to succeed in life is definitely what I would support.
Thank you. And then in reverse order, are you aware of any graft or corruption in the Clark County School District? You don't have to name names if the answer is yes.
No.
I'm not directly aware of any at the moment.
No, I'm not directly aware of any at the moment either.
Other questions from the panel? If not, I'd like to indulge in a question of my own.
Absolutely.
We heard earlier about breaking up the Clark County School District, and in our state constitution it provides that every county has its own school district. And so it would prove to be time-consuming and it would take several years to even go down that road. But there's nothing in the Constitution that states that the school district must be in food service and in construction and in transportation and in all of these other areas that lend to this massive bureaucracy and provide a lot of areas for waste. So my question is, would you support refocusing the Clark County School District on education and maybe privatizing some of these other areas and put them out for bids to save money, to make them more efficient, and to put the emphasis of the school district on actually teaching the students of Southern Nevada? We can start on this end.
Sounds like a great idea. Yes, we would have to look at all of that, understand how that process works, understand where those contracts would be, who would be applying, who would be bidding for those opportunities, and if it put more Nevadans back to work, I would say that would definitely be something that would have to be considered by a governing board. Yes.
Absolutely. The school district is in the job for educating my child, your child, every other child across this valley, making sure that we have leaders in the next generation. We need to be able to focus on the teachers, supporting the teachers, giving them every resource possible. We can definitely become more efficient by outsourcing some projects, some work, and when we do that, we can almost guarantee that any position will be available to a school 24/7. There's no sick days when we outsource a project to another company.
I definitely support education first. As you said, I definitely want the school district to be focused on education. And I also want our students to be in the safest buildings possible. So I definitely would support creating safe places for our students to be housed. So whatever the best labor is, that's what I would always support.
Well, I would follow up and ask you to clarify, Mr. Jones, please, do you believe the Clark County School District should be in the transportation business, the construction business, the food service business, all of which are not contributing to education?
I definitely support education completely, and Clark County School District should be in the education business.
That was not my question, but Travis, we'll go to you for a follow-up.
So, yes or no, did you read the Gibson report? Are you familiar with the Gibson report? Familiar with the Gibson report?
I'm familiar with that.
Okay. That was an outsourcing report commissioned by the district. strenuously opposed by
School board.
the, some of the employee unions. You realize the position that you're just taking puts you at odds with several of the employee unions. You willing to do that?
I'd love to answer that. Just because we outsource positions to outside companies doesn't mean that we lose labor, lose jobs. Those companies that absorb those jobs have got to hire enough people to work those specific tasks. So to lose somebody inside the school district means that we gain somebody in the private sector. I'm in agreement with that wholeheartedly.
I am definitely in agreement with, like I said, I'm not opposing any form of labor. I'm supporting the highest quality labor for our schools. So that's what I support, as well as, you know, students first in education. But I'm not familiar with the Gibson report, so I can't comment on that directly. But like I have stated before, I'm in full support of the best quality labor that can house our students.
So when you go to other candidate panels, that's a heads up.
And I'll just close with, again, if it's going to put Nevadans back to work, and that they give those priorities to those companies who are going to hire those individuals to make sure that they have those jobs, I would be supportive.
Candidates, thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming. Could I get your pictures in the back before you take off?